Uncle Ron and stuff. Doing for others and heaven. And what you see here is a remote control RC radio controlled Cessna aircraft. And that's the reason I'm doing the video, was that a long time ago, well, actually when I was a kid, one of my uncles, my father's youngest brother, he was, I don't know, maybe he was 10 years older than I was, or less than that actually. And he used to come to our house. He built balsa wood model airplanes and used tissue paper for the fabric covering of the plane. And the house we lived in was two-story, and the backyard was a steep drop-off. So he would come to our house, and in the bedroom that I slept in, he would open a window and he would launch these balsa wood tissue paper airplanes out the back. They were gliders, and he did it several times. He built model planes. He had a couple of them, and then he went off to the Army and so on. And anyway, that was the end of that. But when he was in the Army, he was stationed in Germany. And even though he was in the tank unit, he became a assistant, if you will, to the unit commander, who was a colonel. And the colonel he knew how to fly, and they had a small scout plane, probably smaller than this plane, that the colonel would take up and fly around. It was, something to do on off time, and he would scout locations. Anyway, he would take my uncle with him, and they would fly around pretty regularly in Germany. This was occupation forces in Germany after World War II. My uncle did not do the Korean War. He was stationed in Germany, and again with tanks, and I think he originally was something to do with tanks. I don't know, gunner, or he didn't drive them, I don't believe. But anyway, more than anything, he got to fly around in this small plane with the colonel. And again, he had some fascination with aircraft because he built balsa wood models to begin with. So years and years and years later, I decided I was going to become a pilot. I started taking pilot's training over in Manassas. I lived in Fairfax at the time. And every day I went there, or most days I went there, I went past a hobby shop, and there weren't very many hobby shops anymore around. One day it occurred to me that perhaps I should get him a RC controlled kit, and maybe he would build it if I gave it to him. And this is reminiscent of what I've tried to do over the years. Sometimes I'll try to do certain things for people. I don't know if they'll work or not, but I think maybe it's a good idea, and I'll try it. So I bought him this model plane and took it up to him, and I told him I didn't know, if he builds it, it's okay. If he doesn't, it's okay. I didn't know what would happen. Anyway, he took right to it. He was retired by this time, and he'd been a house builder, a carpenter, whatever. He was good at it, and he built this plane. And then when it was all complete and ready to go, he called me and said he was having a maiden voyage, and so my son and I drove up to Winchester, where he lived, and watched the maiden flight of this particular model. Okay, and I don't know, it obviously hit a good spot in him. And there's more to the story in that after he built this one, he went on to proceed to buy and build 8, 9, 10 others, from P-51s to whatever fighters, and some had retractable landing gear and all this sorts of stuff. And he had them hanging in his garage. Well, he passed away, and his granddaughter asked me if I would like this one because I had given it to him to build to start with. And I said, yes, I would. And so it hangs here in my garage, and it really serves two purposes. One, that I've tried various things over the years for other people, given them things or, tried to help them in some esoteric way. I don't know. Something occurred to me that maybe. And most times they don't work, but this one reminds me that sometimes they do. And I think I hit with his interest in planes as a young boy, and then later flying around with the colonel, and then he really got into this because he built many of these sort of things, and he did such a really excellent job. I think they're flawless. He says they wouldn't win any prize in model competitions because there are people who are really good at building these things, but this one I think is perfect, and I really enjoy having it here because it reminds me of you try things and they don't always work out, but this one did, so it gives me faith that I should continue to do those sorts of things, even though there might be, like, I'm sure he had no clue what the hell this is about when I gave it to him, like, well, what do I do with this? I mean, now he's got to face a whole new learning thing, and he got into it. He did it. That's what's amazing about it. A second aspect of it, and you probably can't see it, but inside the cockpit, it's him. There's a pilot in there. He's got his glasses on, just like my uncle wore. And it makes me think about heaven. Now, the plane's not moving around today, but it will. The air currents will hit the side of the body mainly and move it from left to right. It'll move around during a good windy day, and I just envision some sort of heaven involved, and he's up here flying around. He never got to do pilot's license, and he said that's one thing he regretted. I told him it was hard work, the pilot training I took, but that, he regretted he never had a chance. Of course, it cost a lot of money, and he would never have done that. He put his money in his family just like everybody else does, Anyway, I can just envision him flying around, soaring around, or whatever, and every time I see it moving, I think of him and his freedom, if you will, in heaven. So this is, again, a reminder of, one of the things I've tried over the years that actually did work. There have been others, but lots of times they don't work. But this reminds me I need to keep doing it. And the concept of heaven. This is one concept of heaven where, dream comes true or something like that. Anyway, that's what this is about, doing for others, and you got to keep doing it. If it hits you, and you should follow through on it. And I don't take any, the fact that it doesn't work or it does work. That's not my problem. I just provide the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel any one thing or another if it fails or succeeds. And yeah, I'm saying I like this one that it succeeds, and I have a material object to remind me of it. Oh, you see it's flying around, it's moving a little bit with the wind currents, and he's up there just cruising around. You see him, they taking a turn to the left here. There he goes a little bit. Anyway, doing things for others and the concept of heaven, that's what this is all about. And this is Uncle Ron and stuff, and just model RC plane and how an object can take on various meanings. This one, I don't have a lot of particular content, if you will, emotional or mental contact with most things. They're just objects, and that's, but this one definitely has something built into it. It has my uncle built into it in a lot of different ways. and me too, since I provided the opportunity. Anyway, Uncle Ron and stuff, this is doing for others and one concept of heaven. And today is the 30th of May.